Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston. You've probably heard the word anime. It's a style of Japanese animation that now has global appeal. People are attracted to bold colors, dynamic characters, and a theme for everyone from sci-fi to romance. Its popularity in the U.S. grew through shows like Blue Eye Samurai and action sci-fi series Cyberpunk Edge Runners. If you thought you were alone geeking out over anime and cosplay, you can find thousands of your people this Thursday through Sunday at Anime Matsuri at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Matsuri, by the way, is the Japanese word for festival. Joining us with what to expect are filmmaker and panel host Dr. Caesar Wright, cosplayer Lauren Koob, and one of the event coordinators and panelists, Jason O'Brien, although I don't think he's Jason right now in this particular outfit. We'll get to that in a second. All right, there are basically kind of three people at home right now. There's one going, oh, anime, I love it. The other one going, anime, what's that? Anna who? And then there's the person going, anime, I don't get it. All right, we're going to make them get it now. Lauren, aka Rex, you are an Anime Matsuri regular, and you're cosplaying who right now?
Makima from Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, you were a former student of Dr. Caesar Wright, who taught film and social media and all kinds of things. And so I looked at a video that you did. So it's not only on the surface of just doing cosplay for you. You actually did a video where you made this right here from Saw. So tell people what that is on the table.
So on the table is the reverse bear trap from Saw. Most of it's made out of EVA foam. Some of the screws are metal, but I mean, I put it all together myself. I painted it, rusted it.
So it brings out creativity in a whole nother way, and it's really cool because you figured out how to make this. It looked like it would be metal, but it's so light, and it's just kind of cool that you saw something and said, I'm gonna make that. All right, cosplay, how did you get into this?
So I always loved to dress up. I never grew out of it, so it just evolved. It evolved over the years for what media that I enjoyed. Right now it's anime and horror.
Yeah. So you have a lot of friends that don't do this. So did you ever feel like you were just kind of the oddball at times?
Sometimes, but I'm not going to force someone to go to something they don't want to go to.
But when you showed up at the anime festival, to our point earlier, you found people like you.
Absolutely.
And you realized you weren't alone in that. All right, and then you've made lifelong friends through that as well. Okay, Jason, your interest, by the way, who are you right now?
Kane from the Amazing Digital Circus.
All right, your interest in cosplay and anime came from where?
Oh, I was a theater kid in high school for 4 years, and then choir as well. And I always had the acting bug. So obviously, when I go into normal life, I didn't do a lot of acting. So when I started cosplaying, I helped scratch that itch a little bit.
What's great about this is you don't have to try out for the role. You can assign yourself your whole entire role there.
Exactly.
Right. Caesar, there is a bigger picture here that meets the surface. And one of them is, I just love the fact that you can walk in the doors with absolutely no judgment, have fun, be yourself, be creative, and do all kinds of things. So why does it matter?
Yeah, so part of my background, I was a professor at Rice University in engineering. I've created programs for Microsoft and done a lot of bizarre things that some of them seem unrelated, but ultimately they all connect back to things that I'm interested in. And finding that passion, finding the interest that you have, that are your differentiators, and finding a way you can sort of unapologetically be yourself, to me, is one of the biggest keys to success. And I think that anime, horror, Comic-Con, all of these conferences allow you to do that and realize you're sort of not alone in that. Because you may be the
also have
only
a degree
person.
in anthropology, which is another understanding of human beings.
Yeah, and so I'm actually writing a book right now on the anthropology of AI, addressing the same thing, understanding how can we look at any phenomena and understand how it connects to the human experience. And I think anime is a great example of that. What it does, often is imagine utopian and dystopian societies that have been impacted by technology in ways that we could never represent in movies, but we're able to do that in anime, and then they're living it out, and participating
When
in
you
that.
say phenomenon, like how many people do we expect to show up at these events like this?
Oh, Lord, we had just thousands. In the center, I believe in California, we just had a convention there that reached max capacity. They had to call in the fire department to help take people out, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
wow.
it was that full.
Yeah, and they're expecting about 40,000 at the one
I think so.
this weekend. All right, you'll be doing a number of panels, high quality, low cost content creation, basically what we saw her do online, what Lauren did online.
Yeah, so some of the video you saw of Lauren putting together her bear trap, that was shot in my studio at Memorial City Mall. So teaching people how, if you want to be a content creator, an influencer, or if you just want to to capture what you do and make it look nice. But you know, hers was a horror theme, so we themed out the studio and made it look horror. So capturing that aesthetic, but you learn a lot of transferable skills that you can take into marketing, advertising, pretty much any other domain.
Yeah, and Lauren, what did you learn from doing that?
Oh, I learned so much from his class, from producing videos, editing the videos, which is, it's intimidating. So it was very nice to have Dr. Caesar help me through that.
All right, and on the academic side, anime, and you touched on it, and AI at the singularity horizon. I don't even know what I said there, but what that means is there is so much more going on, as we mentioned, in anime, and everything is so intentional. You know, the character, the plots, so many things are so much more intentional than a lot of us realize, and it was kind of ahead of its time on a lot of its thoughts. Yeah,
and so, you know, when we talk about AI and singularity is the idea that AI will soon reach a point where it can self-iterate, it could potentially become conscious, it'll become a rival apex intelligence. This is Jetfire from the Transformers, but this is based on an anime, Macross. I got this when I was 10 years old, and this was a fully sentient robot that was controlled by an AI. So, you know, I'll date myself here, but that 40 years ago, somebody conceptualized that through an AI. And in my panel on AI and singularity, I'm looking at the fact that we are now at this sort of forefront of AI, but anime has been conceptualizing what's going to happen with the rise of AI, and it does it in a way that's much more sophisticated and complex than what we find, you know, certainly in cartoons, but even in Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
In a Hollywood movie, you have about an hour and a half to 2 hours to explore something, and you have to do it in a certain kind of way. In an anime series, you may have 3 or 4 seasons, so you're looking at 40, 50 hours to explore really complex topics about how we interact with our world, but also how can we imagine a world that doesn't exist today.
Yeah, and a lot more freedom on that scripting.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. All right, Isekai and the meta-human, what's exploring digital identity.
Yeah, so Isekai anime is basically, think of Wizard of Oz. You're transported, you find yourself in another world that doesn't play by the rules of our world, and how would you reinvent yourself? So there's a whole domain of anime that deals with this idea. And from an anthropological perspective, it allows us to think, what if you were born into a different family or a different political structure, or you weren't bound by the constraints of this world? Who would you become? Or knowing everything you know now, what would be your ideal self, and how would you actualize that? And so there's a whole domain of anime that looks at that. But for me, it connects to really complex quantum physics and the idea that, you know, as Elon Musk recently said, the idea that we live in base reality is probably 2 or 3 billion to 1. So Isekai anime also imagines, what if our world is a simulation? So the Matrix, taking that concept further. And whether you believe that or not, or whether that scares you or excites you,
it makes you think outside of what we've been taught, right?
And it's something that if I tried to do it in a class, you would fall asleep. Yeah. But if I do it at a convention, an anime convention, using things that you watch for fun, you're going to be engaged by.
Yeah, and at the base, this type of imagination is the reason why we have things like TV, airplanes, cars, air conditioning. Is the reason why we have anything, is that you stretch the imagination, because a lot of stuff that we have today that we rely on every day didn't make any sense. When someone said, let's put this big metal thing in the sky and put people in it and fly it, it doesn't make any sense. It defies logic, right?
Yep.
But that's what we can do. But that's one of the things I see in anime, is that it stretches the imagination. All right, Jason, what is your panel going to be?
My panel is going to be Cosplay Clash. It's less of an educational panel like Dr. writes, but it's more of an interactive panel. It's what I specialize in, entertainment. It's going to be a panel where we're going to have cosplayers such as myself or Rex here, and we're going to have actors come up on stage and perform as their characters, special moves, quotes, and so on against one another in a King of the Hill style competition.
There's a lot of things that's been happening there. Is there like a speed dating thing going on?
Yes, a speed dating. Yes, it's just a speed dating event mainly catered towards nerds. Yeah.
Speed dating for nerds.
And I can say that.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. But there's all kinds of events that will take place. It's like there are some people who will soak it all in. Other people want certain things. You'll have a lot of vendors there with collectibles.
Lord, so many vendors, yes. Some people just come just to walk around the shopping area for 8 hours.
Yeah, or just to watch people, right?
Yes, people watch.
Yeah. What would you suggest to somebody who still is kind of skittish and doesn't really understand what this is, to just go and check it out?
Oh, easy. The parking right in front of the George R. Brown Center, the lobby of the George R. Brown, that's public property. You're more than happy just to come in and check it out. And then if you get so tempted, you don't have to, you could just pay for the General Assembly Pass, which is our cheapest ticket, and
Lauren,
just walk.
To get started, what do you think for somebody who says, okay, I'm kind of interested in this, I want to dip my toe in the pond?
I would ask some of your friends, see if someone is interested in it. If not, just go. Honestly, going and the community there is very welcoming.
Yeah.
There's so many events you can go to, or just browsing the artist alley. I spend hours in the artist alley.
And there's also, even looking into this, Dr. Wright, I now know that several different programs at colleges and universities really have a major for some of these things. I mean, we know animation's been around for a long time, but animation interfacing with the engineering departments on all types of things. So there's careers there, and even careers in the voice acting part. And for actors, a lot of times we forget about those voice actors in video games and in things like anime.
Yeah, and it's going to be expanding with the rise of AI-generated content. That's taking over a lot of things, but there's still a lot of room for human creativity. And I think in some of the anime with the voice actors, directing, so many people think, you know, who goes into direct or create an anime? It must be somebody who sort of failed at mainstream Hollywood. Yeah. But I actually think it's people whose ideas were too big for the big screen, because it would cost $200 to $300 million to generate a live action version of some of these anime. But people imagine these incredible worlds and then can create them through animation. But then that engenders so many different sort of career paths. And for me, part of my background was working in film and media. And a lot of people are scared of where that's going. But I'm really excited because I think there's a lot of new possibilities. And this is one of the ways to find those.
Yeah, and let me touch on that because, yeah, AI is, you're right, a lot of people are scared of it. It's here. It's not going away. So you got to work with it because it's going to be hard to work against it.
Yeah, exactly. And what AI does very well is take things that there's a lot of information on and recreate that. So it's good at maybe creating a Taylor Swift album because there's a lot of content out there like that. But it's bad at doing something like 13th floor elevators because there's not a lot of content. Yeah. And one of the really interesting things about anime, I think, is that it imagines so many different worlds. And so AI is not really able to generate that in the same way. So it's almost a safe space for human creativity. It's going to be one of those areas that's kind of one of the last bastions of, or last frontiers of creativity for people that are wanting to do something that anime or AI can't replicate.
Yeah, all right. Well, Anime Matsuri takes place this Thursday through Sunday at the George R. Brown Convention Center. To find tickets to the convention and times for Dr. Caesar Wright's panels, visit animematsuri.com. Thank you all very much.